Hey, how are you? I am Chris Robin, aka at Detroit Beastie, here with Fantasy Six Pack to talk about Monday Night Football, and we have a good one on our hands here. The Baltimore Ravens head to the West Coast to battle Justin Herbert and the Chargers in SoFi Stadium. The over/under 51 total points right now. Kickoff 8:15 p.m. It's the AFC North versus the AFC West. Right now, Baltimore's in second place in the North as Pittsburgh has the first place over there, and then in the AFC West, the Chargers are second as well. Kansas City, the big bad machine over there, is first in that division as well. Before we get into this game, make sure you get to the website. This is the end of Week 12, and what a glorious way to go out in Week 12 with this game. Get over to the website, look around, see what's going on. I would assume not everybody is a ringer when it comes to seasonal fantasy football, dynasty, along those lines here. So we have to be honest about how our teams are and what they look like. If you're toast, you're toast. Let's move on. You can go to the website, look around, look at some trading charts, some values, some rankings, and you can start digging out of the rubble here of your lineups, and you can rebuild. That's always a fun portion of the seasonal and dynasty formats here. Or if you want to hang out with me and Keith and Dave, however you think that it would be so much fun. I can't believe you wouldn't, but get to the website. The Discord is where a lot of that stuff's going on. When we get back to this game, as I said, the Baltimore Ravens, the 7-4 Baltimore Ravens, head to LA to battle the 7-3 Chargers. Over under 51 points. What are we going to do? I would take the over. I have my final score prediction, 31-21. It would be over. If that's the final, boom, hammers it home. The over would hit by 1 point. Do we have the intestinal and testicular fortitude to kind of get that, to slam that down and go from there? I don't know. We all have, intestinal fortitude, so let's use it to the best of our advantage. When we look at the quarterbacks here, Lamar Jackson in LA, Chargers 14th overall against opposing quarterbacks, 19-20 completions, 240 yards, pair of touchdown passes, 9 to 10 carries for at least another 50 yards. And so far, Lamar, first overall in football at the quarterback position in fantasy points per game, 28.6 fantasy points a game. And get this, the Chargers have allowed 5 quarterbacks to eclipse or score at least 20 total points. Now, that's in seasonal fantasy formats, right? But there's always a direct correlation. If on the field in the NFL game action, an opposing team, you're going to let the quarterback hang 2 touchdowns and 300 yards. It's going to score across the board. It's good across the board. Doesn't matter what format you're in. Specifically, this is DFS. So Lamar Jackson, Stone Cold Stud. It's going to cost you a pretty penny, 15.5 on FanDuel. When we look at Justin Herbert, he has been in a lot of my work the last 5 or 6 weeks. He's healthy. Harbaugh's getting rolling. I've used that same MO for about a month now, but it's true. Justin Herbert, 22 to 23 completions, around 280 passing yards. He'll throw for 2 touchdowns, 3 to 4 carries for about 15 yards. When you look at Herbert, over the last 5 games, 7 touchdowns, no interceptions. He's completing 63.2% of his passes, and he's had about 8 yards an attempt over that last 5 games. So Herbert's having a wonderful 5-game stretch. Does it keep rolling tonight? Absolutely. It's not really a wild plan, and we'll put it in place when I get to the wide receivers. That's my the wide receiver portion of the video will be the big hurrah. When you watch fireworks, and the finale, my finale for this video will be when we get to the wide receivers. You want to fast forward? Have at it. When we look at the running backs here, it's King Henry and J.K. Dobbins. Why bother with Justice Hill or Gus Edwards? I mean, King Henry, 20-plus carries, 100-plus yards, a touchdown. But when you look at the Chargers, they're second overall against opposing running backs. And King Henry still, last 4 games, averaging around 5 yards a pop here. But when you look at the Chargers, they do a good job in limiting running backs. But King Henry isn't some random running back. He's a monster. But he's had under 75 yards in 3 of his last 4 games. I would imagine with everything that Baltimore has going on with their receivers, Mark Andrews at tight end, who I'm going to fade tonight, and I'll tell you why in a moment here. Lamar Jackson can get it done any which way you want. King Henry could be a focal point here. It's time of possession, right? You want to keep Justin Fields off the field with Ladd and Quentin and Palmer and Will Dissly, who's suddenly a stud star tight end in my world, at least. Will is, so we'll keep it there. But King Henry might be given the ball more times than not, just to let's show this team, this is the Ravens talking, let's show the Chargers who's boss here, and we'll go from there. When you look at J.K. Dobbins, absolutely in play, but he's just a ton of dough on both sites. 13.5 on FanDuel, 10 grand on DK. You're looking at 12 to 13 carries, 50 yards. I do think JK finds the end zone, and you're looking around 20 yards on 2 to 3 catches here. But Baltimore, first in yards allowed per carry to running backs. That's a good sign for JK Dobbins, right? How about this one? Baltimore second in rushing yards allowed per game. So on paper, JK Dobbins very much in play. If you can get him in your lineups, salary wise, I suggest you do that. Would I shoehorn him in my lineups, go out of my way? No. If it happens that way, you get 2 or 3 roster positions, locked in, King Henry, Lamar, however you want to put it. If J.K. Dobbins is sitting there and it's between him and Zay Flowers, let's say, or him and Quentin Johnson, I would strongly consider J.K. Dobbins. When we look at the wide receivers here, and this is the final hurrah for Week 12, Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman. What about the Chargers, guys? The rookie Ladd McConkey, Quentin Johnson, Josh Palmer. Let's start with Zay Flowers briefly, and what are we going to do with Deontay Johnson? It stinks. I read a report that said Deontay's, he's fully healthy, but the Ravens are having a hard time, incorporating him into their offense. That like a beat writer, I don't think I'm making this up, but it's just from what I remember. They're saying that it's tough to revamp an offense, already 10, 11 games into the season. It's tough to, put in a new package of plays when you're rolling and you're 10, 11 games into the season. So Deontay Johnson, one of these days, he's going to be Deontay Johnson. Will it be tonight? I don't know. I would prefer Zay Flowers and all 3 of the Chargers wide receivers. Let's start with Zay Flowers. Right now, the Chargers 15th overall against opposing wide receivers. 7-8 targets, 4 to 5 catches, looking at around 65 to 70 yards. When you see Rashad Bateman, in seasonal formats and dynasty formats, for Week 12 specifically, everybody's saying, Rashad Bateman's better left on the benches. Rightfully so, but I don't play by the same rules as seasonal formats. You're going to say, well, you're going to give a seasonal and dynasty kind of points. Lamar, 28.6 points a game. There's correlation, yes, with on-field production, right? So when you look at Rashad Bateman, 4 to 5 targets, 2 to 3 receptions, around 45 yards. But get this, the Chargers they're giving up around 142.9 reception yards a game. So you take 150, let's just call it 143 yards, and you're going to split it up how many different ways? 4 or 5 different ways. If Justice Hill's going to catch a football, Zay, Rashad, Mark Andrews, and likely got like 4 or 5 guys that's going to split 142 yards. It's not that high of an average to given, price points here. When we get to the Chargers wide receivers, this is the way I'm going. I can't stress this enough. While I think Baltimore wins this game, I think we can win major amounts of cash with all 3 of the Chargers wide receivers, Ladd, Quentin, and Josh Palmer. Be careful about Ladd McConkey, the rookie. He's questionable right now. If he plays, that's fantastic. If he doesn't, then Quentin Johnson and Josh Palmer and Will Dissly, all 3 of those have to be smashed in our lineups. When you look at Ladd, 7-8 targets, 5 to 6 receptions, around 70 yards. Quentin Johnson, 6 to 7 targets, 4 to 5 receptions, 60 yards. And when we get to Josh Palmer, 4 to 5 targets, 3 to 4 receptions, around 40 yards. So let's say Ladd does not play. Right now, with Ladd in the lineup. In my brain, Ladd is playing. I have Quentin and Palmer to combine for about 9 to 10 catches and 100 yards. If Ladd is inactive tonight, I think there's a case to be made where Quentin and Palmer can get to 150, 180, combined yards. And just, for simplification purposes, just split it right down the middle. 150 divided by 2 would be, 75, something like that. So cut it right down the middle. If Ladd is inactive, Quentin and Palmer need to be MVP captain and vice versa. I cannot stress that enough in my gut that I love the idea of all three, including Will Dissly, makes it 4 of the Chargers pass catchers. When we get to, let's say, Will Dissly, let's just talk about him. We're 10 minutes in. We're going to end this thing quickly. Trust me. When you look at Will Dissly, Baltimore, they're bottom 2 in reception yards allowed to tight ends, reception yards and overall receptions to opposing tight ends. Will Dissly, 5 to 6 targets, 4 to 5 receptions, 45 to 50 yards. And that's with Ladd playing. And I'm saying, Ladd is not the end-all be-all wide receiver, but the rookie has commanded a ton of Harbaugh and Herbert's respect here. So if Ladd is on the field, I can't stress that enough. Sure, the targets and touches in the pecking order will shake out how they shake out, but if Ladd is inactive, I cannot stress enough Will, Quentin, and Palmer. Just if you have enough cash, I would run 5 different lines and put each guy at MVP captain and then flex and then vice versa. When we rewind a bit and go to Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely, honestly, I'm fading both of them, and I'll tell you why. The Los Angeles Chargers have not allowed a tight end to score a touchdown all season. This is the last game of Week 12, so you're looking at how many games? It's right there, 11 games if there was a bye week or if you played all straight through so far. The Chargers have not allowed a tight end to score a touchdown. That's a tough task. Mark Andrews, 3 to 4 targets, 3 to 4 receptions, 35 yards. Not a ton of money, 9.5 on FanDuel, 4.6 on DK. So maybe I spoke too soon when I said I'm completely fading Mark Andrews. At his price tag, it's not a bad move. I'm just saying let's temper our expectations. But if Mark Andrews does find the end zone, it's cause for celebration, given what the Chargers have not allowed tight ends to do, given Mark or Isaiah's price point. It's all set there. The decision is up to you, right? I tell you how I feel, but ultimately you're the one spending your own money or whatever it is. So to me, Mark and Isaiah, not on my radar, but just be mindful that, any crazy things can happen. When we look at the DSTs, Ravens and the Chargers, I have both squads, 2 to 3 sacks, both squads with an interception, both squads, 21 points against, 31 points against. I mean, there's not much going on. Justin Tucker, Dicker the kicker, you're free and clear to choose as you see fit. To me, I would go with Dicker the kicker, just he's at home, $500 less on FanDuel, and we'll go from there. I have the Baltimore Ravens to win this one, 31 to 21. So, Chris, Baltimore wins. They score 31 points. Why why is it so exciting to you to stack the Chargers? Because they're going to score 21 points. There's going to be 3 touchdowns. I could even see a case where there's 4 touchdowns, 31 to 28, and we're looking at an outstanding football game Monday night. And where are all those points going to come from? Everybody and their mother, grandmother, aunt, uncle, neighbor, however you put it. Lamar Jackson, King Henry, Zay Flowers. You're going to get a ton of ownership on Deontay Johnson just on the off chance that he's on the field and he sees more than 2-3 targets tonight. Mark Andrews, right? He's in play, as I said, but in my mind, the only way to combat this thing in a single game slate, GPP, is to stack up Chargers pass catchers, Ladd, Quentin, Palmer, and Will Dissly. And for a little bit of, sugar on top, cherry on top, however you put it, you can get Justin Herbert in there as well. Baltimore 7-2 straight up their last 9 games. Chargers 5-1 straight up their last 6. The over has hit in 6 of Baltimore's last 7 games, and the under, this is strange, the under has hit in 9 of the Chargers' last 12 games. So over-under's at 51. I have exactly 52 total points scored, but if the Chargers kick that 1 extra field goal or get that 1 extra touchdown, we're smooth sailing on the over. I would prefer to take Baltimore minus 3 points as they win 31 to 21. Be good, be safe, and what a week 12 it's been. Thank you for all the love and support. Now, let's do it again Thursday Night Football, or how about Thanksgiving? That's the next big holiday coming up. I have some surprises for you there. Be good, be safe, and we'll talk to you then. Bye-bye.